the important questions, right? Why are we here? What's our purpose? What are we supposed to do? What happens afterwards? What started everything? Was there a creator that made us, right? These are the important questions that you should be thinking about, right? Why are we here, right? Is there really a reason that we're alive and that we exist, right? Or was it just all chaotic? It was just spontaneous. We came into existence for no real reason, right? This is something that you have to kind of think about, right? Why are we here, right? There doesn't seem to be a clear answer, right, to this question, why are we here, right? No one's kind of discovered like some type of real reason why we're even alive, right? Why life emerged, why the universe started and stuff like this, right? No one's kind of found any type of clear answer as to why we're here, right? So this is a very difficult question, right? And it depends on like what type of perspective you have, right? If or what type of beliefs you have and stuff, right? Because if you're religious, right, you can obviously claim that we were put here by some type of God, and he gave us, or she or it gave us a type of purpose, and that's why we're here. And it also started the universe and created everything, and so that's why why we're here and stuff. If you have this type of religious belief, right? Or you might be some type of atheist, right? You might not really even believe in any type of religion, right? Or any type of God, and you might say that we're here just because it's just purely off of chance, right? There was no real reason why life emerged and stuff, and why the universe started and stuff, right? Why are we here? It's because it's just we just came here and stuff, and that's it. And there is no higher purpose or reason why we're here. It was all from chaos, right? Everything happened by chance for no real reason. You might say this if you're some type of atheist, right? Or someone that doesn't really believe in any type of religion or God, right? But why are we here? It's a very tricky question, right? It's a question that's hard to answer, right? Because again, there is no clear answer to this question, right? Why are we here, right? Why are we here? Right? If you actually start to contemplate over this question, right? It'll kind of shock you a little bit, right? Because think about it. Why are you even alive? Right? Why are we even conscious? Why is everything the way it is right now? And there's no clear answer, right? It depends again. Also, it depends on what type of perspective you have, right? What type of what your beliefs are and stuff, right? You might believe that in some type of religion, you might believe that there was a God that made everything and he put us here and stuff, right? Or you might be an atheist and you might believe that we came from nothing, essentially, right? There is no real reason why we're even here, right? Everything was just based off of chance and chaos and coincidence, right? And we're alive for no real reason, But this is again this question: why are we here? Right? There is no clear answer to this question, and it's kind of tricky. But it's an important question that we have to kind of think about, right? Why are we here, right? Why are we here? Think about it, right? Why are we here, right? Why did we even start to become conscious and start to see all of the things around us, right? Why is everything the way it is, right? Why are we here? It's kind of again no clear answer, right? And again, it depends on what type of perspective you have, right? What type of beliefs you have, right? You might believe that again there was some type of you might believe in some type of religion, right? You might believe there was some type of creator or God that made everything and put us here and with a specific purpose, right? Or you might again be an atheist and you might believe that everything just happened by chance, right? There was no real reason why anything came into existence, right? It was just based off chance, coincidence, chaos, right? Everything was just spontaneous. And again, it depends on your perspective, right? Why are we here? There's no clear answer, but this is a very important question you would have to think about, right? And what another question, right, would be, what's our purpose, right? What's our purpose, right? And this is kind of again, then there's a lot of subjectivity involved here, right? What's our purpose, right? If you kind of see this question from a scientific perspective, right? What's our purpose, right? You know, like what do I mean by scientific, right? Based off all we can observe in the natural world, right? You know, animals, right? They don't really care about what their purpose is, right? They just survive and reproduce, and that's it. You know, that's it. That's it. They survive and reproduce, and that's it. You know, if you want to come at it from this scientific perspective, right? But what do I mean by scientific? I mean by like what we can observe in this world, right? You know, in the natural world as well, specifically, right? You know, you look at what other animals are doing, right? You know, they don't really care about what their purpose is, right? All they do is survive and reproduce, and a lot of Darwinists, right? A lot of people who believe in, in the theory of evolution and stuff like this, a lot of evolutionary biologists, right? They would also kind of agree, right, that there is no real purpose, right? It's just survive and reproduce, and that's it. That's all. That's the only purpose that might be real, right? Anything else is just kind of made up in fantasy and stuff, right? Kind of staying on this scientific perspective, right? Seeing things again from the scientific perspective, right? You look outside, right? You look at the sky, right? Do you see any statements in the sky that tell us our purpose, right? We can't see like any type of statements in this world, right? Any physical markings or etc. or something like that, right? That would tell us what our purpose is, right? You look around the world, right? You look in the natural world, right? And nature, right? Essentially doesn't have a rule book. It doesn't tell you what your purpose is, right? You're just kind of born, and that's it. And then it's kind of just chaos, right? You can do whatever you want, right? And nature, right? In the natural world, right? Animals, they don't really care about what their purpose is, right? They just survive and reproduce, and that's it. Maybe that a lot of people might agree that that's the only real purpose, right? Anything else is just, again, fantasy and delusion, right? What's our purpose, right? This question, right? Again, a great deal of subjectivity. Again, if you're religious, if you believe in some type of religion, right? You might believe that you were put here by some type of God, and he gave some type of religious text to you and stuff, and your purpose is to observe and read from this religious text, and that's it. Observe and read from this religious text and kind of obey what he told you, and that's it. That's your purpose. Okay, but it's kind of, a lot of people might kind of see that as just being just some type of delusion, right? There is no, like, some people, people that are atheists, they could say that religion is just kind of made up. We can just give ourselves our own purposes and meanings and values and stuff. We don't need to get it from some type of religion, right? A lot of atheists would kind of have this type of mentality, right? That you can just make up your own purposes and meanings and values and stuff, right? Because really there are, if we're looking at things, objectively, right? There is no such thing as like a purpose that we have, right? This is all inside of our heads, right? There is no purpose out there, right? That we could find, that we could, grasp and feel and stuff, right? This is all inside of our heads, and a lot of atheists, right, and people that aren't really religious, they would kind of say that you can just make up your own purposes and values and meanings, right? Objectively speaking, a lot of them would agree that there is no real objective purpose that we have to all kind of work towards, kind of abide by and stuff, right? There is no such thing as some type of objective purpose, right? It's all just subjective. We just make up our own purposes and meanings and values. A lot of people might agree with this, right? What's our purpose? There is no clear answer to this question, right? But you got to really kind of think about it, right? And again, there's a lot of subjectivity involved, right? And it depends on what beliefs you have, right? You might be a religious person, right? You might believe in some religion, right? You might believe in some type of God that gave you maybe a purpose, right? Or you might be some type of atheist. You might believe that there is no such thing, right, as a God or any other type of like supernatural force, right? We just exist based off coincidence and chance and chaos, and that's it. And there is no such thing as an objective purpose. We just have to give ourselves our own purposes and meanings, values, right? So this question, what's our purpose, right? There is no clear answer to this question. What's our purpose? And again, there's a lot of great deal of subjectivity involved, but you have to kind of really, again, think about this question, right? What's our purpose, right? Another question you should really think about is, what are we supposed to do, right? What are we supposed to do, right? Again, a great deal of subjectivity, right? What are we supposed to do, right? we're alive, we're here, right? But all right, so what are we supposed to do, right? A lot of people just kind of spend their lives working and earning money, right? So they can afford, basic things to survive, right? Basic, things that they would need to survive, right? Like food, water, shelter, and stuff. And that's it. That's all they think about, right? They don't really think about what are we supposed to do, right? It's a very important question. Right? What are we supposed to do, right? Again, there's a lot of subjectivity involved, right? And it depends on what perspective you have, right? And what beliefs you have, right? Because if you're a religious person, you might argue that we need to kind of obey what, the God, the creator God that made us said, right? What he revealed in his religious texts and stuff, right? That's what we are supposed to do, right? But if you're an atheist, right, you might say that, well, we're not really supposed to do anything, right? We can do whatever we want, right? There is no like objective standards, right? Everything is just kind of based off of like chaos, right? Essentially, right? The universe doesn't care what we do, right? So we can do whatever we want. And of course, a lot of this might be kind of a generalization, right? A lot of atheists might not be like this nihilistic, right? A lot of atheists might believe in some type of purpose, right? And meanings and values, right? And that are transcendental, that are actually not just inside of our heads, right? But atheism is kind of like it is kind of very nihilistic, right? A lot of atheists don't really believe in objective standards and purposes and values and meanings, right? Because think about it, right? No God. Like, what does atheism entail? Atheism entails the idea that there is no God, right? And so the universe just came into existence based off chance and coincidence and chaos. There was no real conscious, real creator behind the universe, right? And that means that there was no real reason that the universe even came into existence. It was just chaos and stuff emerging and stuff. Again, right? What are we supposed to do? Right? There's a great deal of subjectivity, right? But again, most people don't really even think about these types of questions, right? What are we supposed to do? A lot of people just kind of spend their lives working and stuff. They earn money to afford, the basic things that they need to stay alive and stuff, and that's it. But what are we supposed to do, right? Again, it's a great deal of subjectivity, and there's no clear answer, right, to this question or to any of the other questions I brought up. What are we supposed to do? Think about it. What are you supposed to do, right? Are you just going to work all your life earning money and stuff? But what are you going to spend that money on and stuff? Do you have any type of higher goal and purpose that you're working towards? It's an important question, right? What are we supposed to do? But again, no clear answer, right? If you look outside, right, you can't see any type of direction, right, that you need to go in, right? You can't really see maybe like some type of divine entity, right? Like an angel that tells you like what are you supposed to do, right? It's just, a bunch of other people tell you what you need to do, right? But, what are we actually supposed to do? And, there's no clear answer to this question, but you should really kind of think about it, right? And, another important question you should think about is, right, what happens afterwards, right? After we die, what happens, right? This is like a very, very, very tricky question, right? Because again, there is no way anyone could possibly answer this question, right? Because a lot of people would say that nothing happens, right? But no one watching this video has experienced death, right? Complete death, right? Not like near death, right? Some people, they kind of, they're in the hospital, right? Their consciousness fades in and out, right? But that's not death, right? Death is on your let's just say your nervous system's completely destroyed, right? You're no longer conscious, right? That's what death is, right? Right, yeah, but what happens afterwards, right? What happens after we die? Again, there is no type of clear answer to this question because no one watching this video has experienced death, dying, right? So, it's some type of surprise we have to wait for, right? A lot of people might believe in reincarnation, right? That, we're just going to come back, into existence again, right? Maybe in a different way, right? We're going to still come back into existence and, experience life again. So, reincarnation, that might be true. Or, again, heaven and hell, if you believe in like the Abrahamic religions, you might believe in heaven and hell, right? We're going to get judged. We're going to be put into like either paradise or hellfire, depending on what we've done in this life, right? In this world, right? Again, it's all speculation because no one watching this video has ever, died and came back to life and, could properly tell us what happens, right? So it's all speculation. but it's an important question you would have to think about, right? What happens afterwards, right? After we die. Another important question is, what started everything, right? What started everything, right? The universe kind of was, a lot of scientists and academics believe in the Big Bang theory, right? The universe was expanding and becoming more complex. But what caused this type of expansion, right? What was that first cause, right? That first cause that allowed the universe to start to expand itself and to develop complexity, right? Because the universe, according to a lot of what a lot of academics and scientists are claiming, right, it had some type of expansion, right? But what caused this type of expansion? And a lot of people argue that it just happened, right? That's it. And this is kind of a little bit. It's kind of a little bit disappointing. This is a very disappointing answer, right? Because the universe was expanding, right? It was becoming more complex, right? But what caused this type of expansion, right? Again, according to the Big Bang theory that a lot of academics and scientists believe in, right? What caused this expansion, right? And of course, no one watching this video was like alive, right, at the beginning of the universe, at the beginning of the universe, right, when the universe was, developing and starting out, and so no one was seeing what was happening, right. So this is kind of this question, right? What started everything is kind of impossible to answer, right? Because no one watching this video is, was observing the beginning of the universe and seeing how everything was coming about, right? So it's very tricky to answer this question. What started everything, right? But the first cause, there had to be one thing that kicked everything off, right? And there had to be this type of domino effect, right? The first cause. A lot of religious people would kind of argue that would be God, right? He consciously made the universe come into existence and stuff, and that's why everything is the way it is, right? I mean, if you're an atheist, you could say, well, no, that's just nonsense. Right? The universe just came into existence for no real reason, right? It was just kind of based off of chaos and coincidence and chance. Again, it's tricky to answer this question, right? Like the other questions I brought up, right? Because, what started everything? Right? No one watching this video was alive, right? At the beginning of the universe, right? No one watching this video was observing what was happening at the beginning of the universe, right? Or has observed, or none of us watching this video, we weren't there when the universe was developing itself and becoming more complex. We weren't looking at everything carefully, right? So what started everything is kind of impossible to answer this type of question, right? Again, a great deal of subjectivity involved, because if you're religious, right, you might believe that there was some type of God, right? He made everything happen, right? And that's why we're here, and that's why everything happened the way it did, right? That's why the universe started to expand itself and become more complex. But this question, what started everything, is a very important question you would have to think about. Again, there doesn't seem to be any type of clear answer to this question, right? None of us know, right? Because none of us can know, right, what started everything, right? Because none of us watching, none of us watching this video, right? None of us were there at the beginning of the universe and were witnessing how everything was coming about, right? So it's impossible to answer this question, right? What started everything? It's an important question you would have to think about, right? And another important question was, right, another important question is, right, was there a creator that made us? And again, this is it depends on your perspective, right, your mentality, right, what your beliefs are, right? Because if you're religious, you could say that there was a creator God, right, that made us, he engineered us. That's why we're made the way we are, right? That's why we're here and stuff. We were put here deliberately by some type of creator God, right? Or you might be some type of atheist and you might believe in the theory of evolution, right? That we just we were developing, right, from essentially chaos, right? The evolutionary process kind of made us more ordered, I guess. It made us the way we are, right? We weren't deliberately made. It was just based off of the evolutionary process, right? Natural selection, right? It was just natural selection. It kind of weeded out people and creatures and animals that weren't, capable of staying alive. And then, inevitably, right, after millions of years, some of these creatures and animals and maybe people, right, they kept themselves alive and they reproduced and they kind of passed their genes on, and that's why we're here. This is this type of belief, right? If you're an atheist, or you see, again, a great deal of subjectivity, right? Because there is a great deal of subjectivity, right? To all of these questions I brought up, even this one, right? Was there a creator that made us, right? If you were religious, you could say, of course there was a creator, right? We didn't just develop and become complex for no reason, right? There had to be someone behind this, right? Something that was like kind of guiding us, right? But again, a lot of, if you're an atheist, a lot of atheists would argue and say that, no, it's just based off the evolutionary process, natural selection, right? We just became more complex and developed based off of natural selection, right? And the evolutionary process, right? The unfit members of our species just kind of died off, and that's why we're here the way we are, right? That's why a bunch of the other species of animals, that's why they exist the way they do, and so that's why their muscles are developed the way they are, right? It's based off of the evolutionary process and natural selection, right? The unfit couldn't stay alive; they died off, and this kind of led to the essentially to some type of survival of the fittest type of thing. I don't know. It's extremely hard to term it, right? That's why we're complex. It was based off of natural selection and the evolutionary process, and so there was no creator. We just kind of evolved, and that's it. Again, depends on your beliefs, right? If you're religious, you would say, no, we were made, right? But if you're an atheist, you might agree with the theory of evolution. You might say that we were kind of just evolving and stuff based off of the evolutionary process, based off natural selection, right? There was no real creator, right? And this is kind of tricky. And there's a great deal of subjectivity again, right? Because, again, it depends on your perspective and mentality, right? Was there a creator that made us? You could argue that, look at us, like we are clearly like designed, right? Our features are too complex and sophisticated, right? So we were clearly designed and engineered and made, right? But of course, if you're like some type of atheist, right, who believes in the theory of evolution, right, you might argue that, oh well, your theory, like the theory of evolution is true, right? There was some type of evolutionary process, some type of natural selection, right? That's why we became complex and developed, right? It was based off of this process of natural selection, right? The unfit couldn't stay alive. That allowed the fitter members of whatever type of species and animal to stay alive and to continue reproducing. And it is the same process kept like kind of weeding out people, like things and creatures and people that weren't capable of staying alive, right? But that led to like us evolving and turning into what we are now, right? There was no like designer or creator. It's just based off of the evolutionary process, off of natural selection, right? This is kind of tricky. Yeah, it's very tricky. This is a very complex topic as well, right? And it depends on what type of beliefs you have, right? If you're religious, you might again believe that we were made and put here, right? And that there was a creator, God, right? But if you're an atheist, you might believe in the theory of evolution. It was just natural selection, right? That was causing us to develop and become more complex. It's kind of tricky to answer this question, right? Was there a creator that made us? My only contention, right, my only disagreement with the theory of evolution, right, is, the abiogenesis, right, that life can emerge from dead material, right, life came from nothing, essentially, right. This has never been observed in all of human history, right, that life can emerge from dead inorganic material, right, because that's what the theory of evolution kind of suggests, right. It does imply abiogenesis, right.